Hi, welcome to the new Spring Boot tutorial series. This tutorial is based on the new Spring Boot 3 version. In part 4 of this series, we will implement a database. We will start with a new Spring Boot project with the following dependencies: H2 Database, Spring Data JDBC, Repository, and Service. We are back in Eclipse to create a new Spring Starter project with the following name: Spring Boot Tutorial H2 Database JDBC. For type, choose Maven Project. And for Java version, choose 17. Group, artifact, version, description, and package you can choose. In the next sheet, we need to check the following dependencies: H2 Database, Lombot, Spring Data JDBC, and Spring Web. Now we are going to make our new project available on GitHub. Through the menu, Team and Share Project, we can configure our Git repository. We add our project to the existing repository of our previous project. Add the project to the index. Now you can sync the project with a commit and push to GitHub. The first thing we need to do is to configure the database. We do this in the application properties file. We configure the following: server port 8080, this is the default. The logging level of JDBC to debug. To keep track of everything, we make the H2 console available and choose the path name. We choose a name for our database, a username, and a password. Above each property is the default value. In the Spring Data JDBC, we need to create the database table itself. We can do this in the schema SQL file. We create this file in the resources directory. In the schema SQL file, we create a table named users. We also create 3 fields: ID, first name, and last name. We can do a first test and view the database in a browser window. Start the project in Eclipse and open a window in your favorite browser. Localhost, port 8080/console. As you can see, the data in the application properties file matches those in the H2 login window. Click Connect and open the H2 database. As you can see, our table, users, is created in the H2 database. Because we haven't created any data yet, the table is empty. You should also keep in mind that every time we restart the project, all the data is gone and the tables are recreated. This is one of the reasons why an H2 database is only used for tests and not for real projects. To create data in the H2 database table, we have several options. One of these options is in the schema SQL file where we previously created our table. As you can see, I have created 4 new users. You can also see this when starting the project in the console window. In application properties, we set the log level of JDBC to debug. If we go back to our browser window from earlier, we can see the 4 users in our H2 database user table. After configuring the database, we need 4 more classes. In the model package, we created a record, users. In the repository package, we have an interface, user repository. In the service package, we have a class, user service. And in the controller package, we have a class, user controller. The user's record is the same as in our previous project. The ID field here has an annotation, ID. In the user repository interface, we use list CRUD repository, which is an extension of CRUD repository. This new interface returns list instead of iterable, and it's new since 3.0.0. The user service class contains all the methods needed for a CRUD database implementation. Get users, get user by ID, create user, update user, patch user, and delete user. And finally, the user controller class. This is the same one from our previous project. We used the required QRGS constructor annotation again for the dependency injection. Finally, we are going to start the project and test it with Insomnia using the same HTTP requests from our previous project. With Insomnia, we will test all HTTP requests. Get users returns our 4 users we created in the application properties file. Get user by ID returns the user with ID 4. Create user creates a new user which will have ID 5. This ID is created by the database. Therefore, the ID in the HTTP request is null. Update user will give this new user a new first name. Patch user will again give this user a new first name. And delete user will delete this user. So, this is the end of part 4. In the next part, we will remove Spring Data JDBC dependency and use Spring Data JPA as dependency. Thanks for following this tutorial and see you later. Thank you. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.